And then go in the chat.
This meeting is being recorded.
We can hear you. Thank you, Becky. All right. Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being, well, I'm starting us a little bit late, playing with the mic thing a little bit. We got some new mics, and I don't know about you guys, but it's hard for me to have that on there. But so we can figure that out. We can get you guys one of those when you come up here or pass around the mic. But for now, this whole thing like sticks on your head, but I just stuck it in my shirt, so getting some nods of appreciation. All right, let's get going. So we are going to move past that. Sammy, will you update me on that one when we get there? Intraland, do we have any of our mortgage minute from? There we are. Yep, come up here.
So, how's everyone today? So for the mortgage minute, rates have kind of just been doing the same thing. I didn't really have too much of an update for that. Like yesterday, it went down just a little bit. Today, it went back up just a little bit. So they're still hovering around the mid fives or so. I'm also here with Trillian Mortgage, and I wanted to give you a quick minute just to introduce yourself and tell you what we're all about. But we work with Trillian Mortgage, and they basically have a super good program. If you guys have any buyers, that they can contribute a pretty big chunk to their closing costs, and he'll tell you about it just real quick.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. So my name is Spencer Allen with Trillian Mortgage. We are a preferred lender, or the preferred lender of a nonprofit organization called Home Savings Fund. And from what I understand, usually when down payment assistance is mentioned, a lot of realtors turn the other way because there's a lot of red tape that comes with down payment assistance. Home Savings Fund is the down payment assistance that everyone wants. So Utah Housing, obviously, some clients say fit that box. With Home Savings Fund, we can work with any borrowers. So if you have any clients that need any down payment assistance, we can take advantage of Home Savings Fund and this down payment assistance for them. So we can use any loan product. So we don't have to go FHA. We can go jumbo. We can go conventional. We can go VA. So all loan products. There are no income requirements as well. And so if you're looking at first-time home buyer making $25,000 a year, or you're working with a top level executive making $500,000 a year, both parties can qualify for this down payment assistance to take advantage of that. In addition to that, the intended use of the property can be anything. So it can be a primary home, a secondary home, an investment property. So literally any client that you're working with right now that's looking to buy, we can apply Home Savings Fund to them so they could take advantage of this. So as we look at the market with inflation, with interest rates, with home prices, it's becoming more and more difficult for clients to save enough money for their down payment and closing costs. But with Home Savings Fund, we can get up to $7,000 to them, 100% forgivable. So we've seen some pretty wild success from that. We wanted to mention we do have some agents here at this office that are taking advantage of that, and we wanted to make sure that others had that opportunity as well. We are trying to cap it at how many agents we're working with, because in addition to this down payment assistance, we want to make sure that we're arming the agents that we're working with the right marketing collateral as well. My background is digital marketing. For the last 7 years, I worked for a marketing agency in Utah County. And so on top of the down payment assistance, we can look at landing pages, we can look at one-pagers, we can look at email collateral, and try and create a true unison between the lender and the real estate agent. So we'll be here afterwards. We went above and beyond, knocked it out with our homies at Papa John's. So hopefully you guys like Papa John's. So we'll be here in a little bit. But John Tall and myself will be here afterwards. So we look forward to connecting with you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Make sure I'm not on mute. All right. Okay, appreciate you guys. Thank you, and thank you for lunch as well when that comes. We will be thinking of you guys. We want to let you guys know who knows what bold is. If you don't, that's okay. I'm going to explain it real quick. Bold basically is it is, well, without looking. Who can tell me what it actually stands for? Who can do it without looking? Everyone's like now trying to read. That's what I would have said, so I'm with you. But it is business objective, a life by design. But I would have said that too. I actually, yeah. Anyway, so Bold, what that is basically it's a 8-step, 8-week course, and there is a break in there. I think in 2 weeks, or there's 2 weeks that there are breaks. But the purpose is to get you guys to go through each segment. Each week has a different topic, and to help you generate business and generate now leads and closed business. I think I've done it 3 times myself. Anyone done it more than 3 times? 4 times? 4 times? Is that about 4? 5? 4 or 5? I think, yeah, yep, that counts. So 5, we're about 5 times. The challenge is 10 times. Why do it again and again? For those that have been a few times.
Because you can't absorb it all at once. There's a lot to learn, and you grow. You come out a different person every single time you go. So you just do better each time.
I have to say everybody's different. So like they get a different thing out of it. And to Terry's point, you learn something different every time you go. But every time for me, there's been something different that I've needed. And it's helped me with that thing I needed, because everybody's at a different place all the time.
The most, well, maybe not the most important, but did you close more business when you did it? Those that have done Bold? I know I did. I actually was surprised. I think the average they say is, someone correct me, is it like 14 transactions? 14 contracts. 14 contracts. I know it's somewhere in the teens, like mid-teens. You go through this, and the average Bold participant will have 14 contracts. I want to say it could be 14 or 17, but I'm erring on the lower side just to be more conservative on what they say. So maybe it's even a little bit more than that. But the reason I'm spending so much time on this is right now we're talking a lot about the market. We're talking a lot about shift, and it's getting a little bit, it's a difficult than what we've experienced before. And if there's one thing, if you're serious about your business, then Bold is the one thing, probably the most important thing that you can do for your business and your growth this fall. That I can, tell me if there's anything different that's going to help you get more business this fall. But that is the one thing. If you're looking to focus on getting more closings and any more business, then this is, you need to take this really seriously. The first step is free. There's a registration link that you guys will get, a couple times, but we'll make sure that we get that out to you guys. And that is October 10th at 9 a.m.
And you won't make a lot of money probably from Bold this year, but if you plan on making some money in 2023, it would be a really good place to do it.
Yep. Absolutely. But you could. I mean, I think you're absolutely
you can.
right. You could make some money. I'm not trying to like just sell it for now, but it does have trails that will continue to feed your business into next year. And that's your point you're making, right? Okay. Awesome. Here's the dates. We'll get you more on this, but for now, I encourage each of you, it's all free. Come and be a part. You get a free coaching for that day. Some of it will explain the program a little bit more. And so plan on being there October 10th, 9 a.m. The rest of these, we'll make sure that you have all these dates as well. Anyone have any other questions, comments on that? Okay. You will hear us push this some more. So maybe just get used to the conversation, because we want your businesses to thrive. Everyone is like, oh, my business is down. Hey, I just spent the last 5 minutes telling you what to do, right? There you go. Okay, surviving. Here's a few things coming up. Surviving and thriving through a market shift. We've got a few people that have been veterans when it comes to shifts. And we're going to hear a little bit from them. So plan on that. Meet the Masters. We've got negotiation tactics. This is from Cody Felberg. And this is on the 15th at 1 o'clock. Principal broker class, how to bulletproof your transactions. That's going to be on the 21st. And we are bringing in Johnny Christensen. He is the regional director here over Utah, and he's going to be talking about mind over market, getting your shift together to succeed in an upcoming market. So that is September 27th. And we just want to bring a lot of excellent training so that you guys have all of these tools at your disposal.
You've already got the information. Can we get those emails just a week out? Because Danny does a great job with building up the sheet. But it'd be nice to have these in advance so we're planning around them.
Uh-huh.
Can we get them, if you've got the info, can we get them on this info?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the newsletter goes out.
So that's where at the beginning of the month, it should be on there where you can see it's a digital newsletter that we can see. We also have printed copies that are upstairs. We do try to get it out ahead, but it's possible that sometimes those are easy to miss.
Well, and the one that's by Gary is great, but sometimes you guys add things later in the month. So I don't know. I'm just saying. I feel like we could be better about advancement.
Okay.
Not because they're doing a great job.
I hear another comment.
I said cool.
Oh. I thought it was like let's start to say something and then.
Reminder so you can see what exactly is going to this week. I just like to know.
Awesome. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that month one, and as we add things, we'll make sure that we add those on there. Yep, thank you for that. Perfect. So today, what we were talking about, we just had Mega Camp. Feels weird that it was already that was last week. I don't know if that's weird to anyone else, but it feels like a lot longer ago already. But we've got a few people that went there and some that were on the digital. So we would love to have all of them come up. We've got some hot seats. I want to make sure they are all within the camera view for our Zoomers. And what we're going to do is have them come and share some of their insights. It's going to be, you guys can ask questions. We also want some participation from the group as well. So that if there are things that you guys have thoughts on as well, then we've got those. But you guys get comfortable. I know you're like, I'm sitting in the first seat, but I don't want that. Yep. So just so we know from the audience, who attended Mega Camp? Okay, so we've got several people that can really benefit from you guys' nuggets, and as we have this as a recordable, something that people can watch again. So we appreciate you guys sharing your thoughts, sharing your notes, and why don't we just start off with kind of an overview of what your thoughts were, and any, probably the highest, maybe some of the nuggets that we start off with, and then we can kind of go into that from there. Who wants to start? Nick?
Okay.
You want to start? I almost started in the middle just because of that fun thing, but go ahead, Nick.
So I took from Mega Camp. I thought it was really good. It reminded me why I love KW so much. So if you've never been in that room, it is incredible. It really is. The honest truth that I prepped Tyler for was that the two things that I brought back are not going to blow your mind. So I'm so sorry about that. But I have lots of notes on everything else. But personally, I've said, hey, forget about all that stuff because you have two things that you've not been doing that you need to do. And that is to work a database with a 36 touch consistently 100% of the time. So that's one of my main things. And the other one is to have 20 contacts every day. So that's what I learned. We got to listen to a lot of different people from Sarah Reynolds. She's my personal fave. Most of you know that. But yeah, Sarah Reynolds, and then Jeff Glover doing 1,000 transactions a year. Like, we just got really good stuff from them. So I'll break down some of the other stuff, but from a big view, that's what I got out of it. It was amazing.
I think for me, I am just gonna do my last plug at the beginning, because if you didn't go, because we'll talk about more stuff, but the biggest thing for me was owning my day, and getting myself self-centered. That's like the most important thing, that you have to be obnoxiously stingy with owning your day. And so from 6 o'clock until 11 o'clock in the morning, letting nothing get in the way. So I committed to that to my coach today, that is the one thing that I'm going to do. And we talked about what are the obstacles that can get in your way, like email and social media. Like you get on social media for like 2 minutes and that can drag into an hour. So like you want to protect that time obnoxiously. That was the very biggest thing that I got. So
So I wasn't there. I was one that was watching it here. I want to be there next time and at family reunion. That's my goal. The ones that I liked, he gave a couple of tips. The first one was to keep it simple because you won't do complex. Keep it doable. If it's too hard, it won't get done. The next one is keep it measurable because if you can't see the progress, you will stop. 4 is write your plan out on a piece of paper so it's real. And then the final step is work your plan like your life depends on it.
So mine was actually pretty similar to Nick's. Like there's nothing earth-shattering or groundbreaking that was really said. What was earth-shattering to me was having people, agents that are saying, and a lot of them have been in the business for less than what a lot of us have been in the business for. And there's people that are doing $1 billion in sales volume, and they're doing the very basic things that we should all be doing, actually making 20 contacts a day, just being consistent, like Nick said. So it's not so much, we've heard all these activities and everything, but it's just seeing that people are doing huge amounts of volume, doing the very, very simple things.
Yeah, absolutely. To go along with what Nick and Nate said, that's the biggest thing that struck me is just the simplicity of all of these agents that are performing at such a high level and doing so much volume. And in reality, their business comes down to making contacts and servicing their database effectively. So that was the biggest thing. I think we probably heard it 100 times last week, and it was, this is a contact sport. If you're making your contacts, you're going to be selling houses. I feel like that's what it came down to me.
So I think for me, he made a comment that Gary said that this is not called average camp. So he's like, this is not called average camp. It's called mega camp because we're here to listen to mega agents teach us how to make a mega business. So that's my challenge to you. And Shelly said it just a second ago, like if you haven't come to mega camp or you haven't come to family reunion, you need to, because this was my first mega camp, but I've been to every family reunion since I came here except the first time. And I literally attribute that to my success, because while I don't implement all of the stuff perfectly every time I've gotten something that I did just start doing. And that is what I attribute my success to, being around like-minded people. Even just the people that we got to be with from this office. Like I often say I'm like the greenest agent. Like I was around these agents that have been agents for like 10 plus years, and the things that I learned from them, just them, because I don't get to sit and be around them here. So even the interactions that I get to have with the people from here while I'm there help me learn just as much as the experience of mega camp helps me learn, or family reunion.
Totally. Do you want me to can I just pile on, or do you have a certain direction? What the other thing, so the next thing after I do those 2 items, the other thing that I committed to was the promise script. So we've heard it. We brought in Mike Hicks to teach us the promise script at our office only 90 days ago. That blows my mind. I kind of forgot about that, to be honest, but such a simple thing. They talked about, and I don't write down who says it as much. So unless I can remember, I forget, but whoever it was, I don't know if it was Gary or someone else, but they said, you need to switch your time. So we've been spending a little time on lead generation, a lot of time on servicing our clients, and we need to flip that. A lot of our time needs to be spent in lead generation, a little bit time in servicing our clients. However, in the time that we're servicing our clients, that can also be lead generation if we run the promise script, which I don't have it memorized yet. I've not implemented it yet. But essentially, hey, I'm super excited to work with you. Thanks so much for trusting my team and I to do that with you. We're going to give you a 10 plus experience by doing these different things. At the end of this transaction, by the time this transaction closes, I'm expecting 2 referrals from you. If I don't get those referrals along the way, then I'm going to know that I did something wrong, and I'm going to ask for some feedback about that. But that really simple script, and then just driving it home every time we're talking to them. That's the other thing that I'm going to implement that I actually do think is going to make a big difference. And there was a lot of talk about that in here.
The other thing that really came up quite a bit that made me feel more comfortable just in myself and my business is, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way, I've been feeling very almost guilty that I haven't been doing the lead generation activities that we should be doing and reaching out to the people that we should be reaching out to. And I've felt like I've been telling myself the story that, well, I'm too busy. And that actually kind of did come up at Mega Camp. And that's, I just want to pile on after Nick because he started talking about this, where basically we need to shift from servicing our clients to lead generating for our clients. And that was something that came up by a few panelists and Gary, and that's something that just kind of comes with the market that we were in. And one thing to note about that is that if you start doing the things that you can master right now in a slower market, the potential for that to be a catalyst when, you know, the crazy market comes back again, like that's just going to propel you so much further. Like that's, they say opportunities made in shifting markets, and that's really where, you know, it can be made.
Oh yeah.
So that you said that, I want to get it right. You mentioned lead generation for your clients. Was that like in behalf of your clients? Like somehow they're suggesting that by lead generating, you're benefiting your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I'll even, because that was another one of my notes, and that is that I think those that were there, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think a single one of the panelists ever reached out to their, like you said, it's a contact sport. I don't think any of their contacts came from, hey, it's Nate at Keller Williams. Do you know of anyone looking to buy it? Like it was so non-real estate related that where they were lead generating for their clients, a lot of them were reaching out saying, you know, I've got this whole database of, you know, HVAC guys or that type of thing. That's not really what I meant. I probably worded it wrong, but yes, I mean, you can lead generate for your clients, even if it's not something that's going to get you business right away. That was extremely prominent. And I would say every single panelist, actually, whether it was social media and they were posting different resources for your clients or, you know, door knocking to invite them to a specific event. So yeah.
Referrals, out of state referrals, right? So you are an agent that works for a worldwide company and you can refer them anywhere. So yes, in a sense, you can be doing that as well. I did that this morning with one of my calls. She was like, yeah, we don't even know if we're going to stay in Utah. And I was like, oh, well, you know, because I'm with Keller Williams, I can find you an agent anywhere you want to go. So I think that is how we can do it for our clients as well.
I was just going to add that Gary Keller, he talked about how the shift is really a market of more. Like they have all talked about more time in the lead gen, more time in marketing to get the home sold, more follow-up. And if we can change our expectations and have that be our new norm, that will thrive.
One thing I took too from as far as like contacting your database and stuff, I forget who it was, but they really dove into contact your database to add value for them, you know. So what can we do for them, if whether it's inviting them to an event or, you know, giving them something they need, you know, whether they need information about the market or, you know, just a fun event that you're inviting them to. It just makes that contact that much easier to make.
Yeah, one thing I also heard that I didn't hear a lot about in the past is the top 50. So rather than treating our databases the same, having that top 50, I feel like Caprice has pounded that into my head since day one. But that top 50, really loving on them, and you can provide a lot higher level of service to 50 people than you can for 250 or 500 people. So totally. I'll add, well, no, I won't go.
Got a question?
Yeah. Yeah, so they were pretty clear. Those top 50 have to be bringing you deals. They have to be. So you have to either figure out how to get them to bring you deals or kick them out and find new people that will bring you deals. And I think mostly it comes from adding value, and also I think the promise script. So for people that you are doing deals with, making sure that they know that you want them, that you need them, how you need to receive those. It's not just passing your business cards out to their friends. That's not, sounds really good, but it's not quite there. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what Gary would say. Gary would say, be the economist of choice, add value that way. I think that's what Gary's answer would be. I don't know if that's, I mean, my answer would be that we do events and we keep them connected with the community. We make them feel like they're they really are on a VIP list. What the right answer is, I don't know for sure, but yeah.
I think one of the things that I had that kind of maybe answers part of that question is the conversations, and that the conversation equals conversion. How are we talking about the market? Do we have a positive spin on the market? If somebody asks me, hey, how's the market? Do I say, oh gosh, it sucks and it's really crazy and it's been a nightmare. We're trying to figure out how to balance everything out as this whole market is averaging out? Or Gary's response would be, it's great. What questions do you have about it? So making sure that we're not like selling the market as a horrible thing and it's crazy and we don't know where it's at. Basically, we need to be telling them that it's great, asking them specifically what questions they have about it, because they're probably not asking because they really care how the market's doing. They have an underlying reason that they're asking. Either they've thought about moving, or they're wondering if they should sell, or if it's a good time to buy. So it's always a good time to sell and buy. So helping them feel positive spin on what's going on in the market as we have those conversations, because that's what's going to lead to your conversion.
And what Tammy's saying isn't necessarily dishonest, but it's more so discovering the reasons, like she said, why they're asking. And that's not even with just, the random person at the bank that asks you how the market is when they find out that you're a real estate agent. That's, even your active clients. We need to really get down to the why to overcome some of the objections, because, we don't, a lot of times in our minds, we're going into these buyer appointments saying, well, hopefully it works out, and they're not freaked out by interest rates. Well, interest rates may not even be their hang up. It might be that they don't have the down payment, or they think they don't have the down, like, we don't know what the problems are. And a lot of times we're going in thinking that they're just reading what's on KSL and Fox on Facebook, and that's the reason that they're not willing to make a move. And we don't know that. And I would say most of the time that's not really the case. And if it is the case, then information can overcome most of those objections.
So I was just thinking about what Nate said. I keep picking on Nate. I'm not going to bug you on this though. It just, the comment was, our news feeds are full of KSL real estate things because we are real estate people, and we often think that everybody else is in the same place as us, and that they understand what we understand, that they see what we see, that they're informed like we are. It's really easy to forget that the clients that we're working with are nowhere near where we are, because we do this all day, every day. So I think in general, like, that was a great point. And I think in general, we all need to remember that when we're talking to our clients.
I just wanted to add to, I don't know his name. Yeah, Spencer, he asked the question about your top 50 and what do you give them. I am a newer agent. I've only been doing it since January, so I don't have a top 50, but I have people that have referred to me. So in my little group of people, like, I took a friend, one of the ladies who refers business to me, out to lunch last week. It wasn't it was about relationships. So my focus for me, I know a lot of people's it's different, but mine has always been keeping my relationships top priority. And then I feel like real estate transactions will follow. And after that lunch, at the end of the lunch, I'm listing her mom's cabin tomorrow from the lunch. So to me, and I know that's not everybody, but relationships for me are key, and making them feel important, not just like someone to give me business. I never want them to think that.
That's one of the things Gary. Gary does talk about that too. It's about relationships. It's not about the money. It's not, and I'm the same as Shelly. It's about the relationships. I'm like trying to foster those relationships. I'm not necessarily trying to get the business. It's fostering the relationships and just building that first.
I'll just add, so I have some cool quotes that I wrote down, and I don't write who they're from, so it's kind of pointless, but quotes that I took out.
Do you have them written down?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a quick pause, but I don't want you to lose your thought.
Yeah,
if
no,
we
I'm
pause.
good.
Okay,
I'm good.
So we're gonna come back to that. What I would like to do is maybe a quick halftime and takeaways are you getting so far? This is a way to show our panel that one, we're listening, and that we're getting some value. It's a way to show appreciation. So what are just a few takeaways, a few nuggets that so far you're, whether simple or complex, that you guys are getting?
Sure, Shelly. I feel like when you first spoke about the keep it simple, keep it measurable, make sure it's not complicated or hard, I feel like you were speaking directly to me because anyway, that was a really, really good one. And then, yeah, I don't know. I really like that.
Tammy, I really liked your point on being obnoxiously self-centered on your day. I think it's super easy when you get to the office and you're so focused on these are the things I'm going to get that I need to get done. And before you know it, you've got calls coming from clients, your emails are coming in. And before you notice it, it's 2:30 and you haven't even touched your lesson. So I think making it a point as you go in, put your phone on the do not, or the focus mode or do not disturb, and really just hash out those things, you get those things done. And then after that, you can tackle those other things. I also really loved your point on lead generation. Like you always have to be hunting. It was Nate, I believe so. Your point on like lead generation has to be a focus because if you're not continually building your pipeline, sure you can surface the clients that you have in the pipeline, but what happens once those transactions are done? Like you have to be able to do things simultaneously. So I think being able to make that a point of I always have to be focusing on the lead generation side, and that probably needs to be the focus of constantly building up the pipeline. You have a team that can support you on the transaction side of things, but if you're not putting people in the pipeline, it's only a matter of time before you have no one there, and then that's when things get more and more difficult.
I wrote down a few, but I just wanted to reiterate the 20 contacts per day, which I think at least 3 of you said. I was there, and I swear almost every single panelist, every single mega agent had that number. So it's harder than you think. 20 is a lot, but I think that would be just a great place to start. So I'm committing to that.
I mean, even 5, most of us aren't even having a two-way conversation with 5 a day.
I think my big aha is how we answer the question, how's the market? Finding the why so that we can overcome the objectives. That's key.
Anyone else so far? Okay, thanks for letting us take a pause. I think that's good to also implant some of those thoughts, and sharing your ahas does help everyone else. So thank you for that. Nick, did we derail you too much, or
Nope.
pick up where you left off?
Nope, I'm prepped. So I just know it's kind of going in a different direction. So you guys can change direction after this. But one thing they talked a lot about the conversations that we're having with our people, and my very favorite Sarah Reynolds. Well, literally, I'm not gonna lie to you, I almost cried when I was sitting there. I felt like I was sitting at her desk and she was just instructing me. Okay, when they say this, you need to say this. When they say that, you need to say that. It was incredible. I thought so. Maybe it was just me, but so I loved it. But what so we talked a lot about the conversations that we're having. And one thing that Gary absolutely pounded was what we came out of just barely was totally unprecedented, and our clients need to forget it. They need to lose sight of that. So just a couple things on that note. If we say that, hey, it was totally unprecedented, and that's not what we're going to expect in the future, that's a way to just kind of forward pace the conversation that you're having. And the big thing that I heard, and there was kind of two stories about it, but they said your clients, they were expecting to get 20% this year and they only got 15. That's a lot different way to look at it than they just lost $30,000. Our seller clients that were going to sell their homes. When we're talking to them about price, they thought they were going to get 20%. Now they're only going to get 15%. It doesn't seem that bad when you look at it from that perspective. And another person drove that home. He said, hey, have you ever been to the casino? You know, probably a few of us have driven out to Wendover, Vegas, time or two. You come in with $100, you're just killing it, and you end up with $500. But you overstay your welcome a little bit, and by the time you leave, you might have 250 or 300. You won. You won. You got the win on it, but it doesn't always feel like that. And I think that's how our sellers are feeling, is maybe that they could have gotten more, or there was something more. And so just helping them realize they've won. You know, yeah, I love that. And I heard multiple people talk about that. So yeah.
One of my other big things was mindset matters. And Gary said, don't have an airy fairy mindset. Having a positive mindset is the only way you will survive in a shifting market. He talked about how no one goes to bed at night hoping that they'll wake up and things will be worse so that they can grow. And there's two things you can do when it gets hard. You can lay down and say you have no control, or you can say bring it on. There's no easy way out of a rough time. When life is hard, we have to learn hard and we have to do hard better. So be someone who handles hard better. And that's one of the things that we have to learn how to do in this market. Is it's going to be hard as we go through this shift, but let's learn how to do hard better.
This is not along those lines. This is just something else that I picked up, and I don't remember her name. It was a lady, but she said when talking about posting on social media, she said that to use the 80-20 rule. So 80 more about yourself and only 20% to be your business. What was that? Okay, I didn't know her name. Okay, yeah, I thought that was so great. She said that they stick around because who you are and how you make them feel. So they want to know you as a person, not just that you sell real estate. That's why they'll stick around with you.
I think just one other thing that, because we've talked a lot about adding value and servicing your clients and lead generating. And one thing I just kind of remembered and have really set with my coaches, like a point that I'm going to try to do more of in my business. And that's becoming more of a like wealth consultant, because I think that we forget, and Gary mentioned this, we're handling like the biggest financial like shift there is in the world. Like there's trillions of dollars in real estate that changes hands every single day, and that's people's largest assets. And we need to realize that and really hone in on that and educate ourselves on, you know, how can we leverage people's wealth better to, you know, better serve them. And there was one panelist, I don't remember who it was, but that was his whole business model. And he, I mean, a lot of times was like, well, wait, why are you doing it this way? And would turn one deal into 3 different transactions by not making it about him, the agent, but making it about growing wealth for him and his legacy.
So this was my first Keller Williams event I've ever been to. So I just kind of wanted to plug the overall event. And to me, the most valuable asset, the most valuable thing I got from it, I think, like all of the business building stuff is awesome. There's a ton of golden nuggets you can take from that. The biggest thing for me is the mindset that you can take from this. Being around all of these top producers, seeing the volume they're doing, it makes you feel like, you know, it makes you know that it's possible, and they're keeping it simple, doing what everyone knows that we should be doing, and just performing at a crazy level. And like Tammy said, just being around all of the agents in our office too, you know, rubbing shoulders with Tyler and Terry and all of these guys, it really is incredible the way that the potential that it has to build your business, just being around people that are doing what you want to do, I think. So
Here, I'll just close it up with my favorite thing too. So that it didn't even really happen actually at the conference, but I was standing in line to leave Austin, standing in the security line, and there was a woman there in line in front of me, and she was obviously an agent on a phone with, an assistant or a handyman or something, talking about making repairs. A phone call that we've all had before. So it was very clear that she was an agent, and it was clear that she'd, been at Mega Camp the day before. And anyway, just I could tell that she was very stressed and feeling like she couldn't handle what was happening because she was about to, go through security and get on a plane. And but I also just kind of saw the stress on her face and how she stayed, calm, cool, collective, and just managed the situation, and saw how much she cared for the situation, the client. So unfortunately, she ended up going through security, and I lost her. And I was about to board my flight, and I just happened to turn around one more time because I was kind of looking for, kind of like, it wasn't like going through every gate, but keeping an eye out for her. And I was about to board my flight, and I saw her, and I hurried and ran over, and I said, "I'm so sorry, I'm going to be a weirdo. I was listening to your conversation, and you're obviously an agent." And I just said, "I was wondering if I could get your contact information in your market center, because I can tell that you're someone that fights like hell for their clients, and I want to have a contact in that market center." And she started crying and like sat down, and she just wanted to hug. And I mean, that right there was kind of the biggest reason for me to go to Mega Camp. And it's like you said, it's to network, to be around like-minded individuals, it's to be around bigger-minded individuals. But I mean, just the culture at Keller Williams, like, you can't really explain it, but I think that's kind of the best story to kind of put it into words.
No, Gary came out with that buffalo shirt on that said "Into the Storm," right? And I've always loved the story of the buffalo, and it goes along with what you're saying, because the buffalo does go into the storm hard. However, when the storm gets too big for the buffalo, do you know what they do? They put their butts together with their faces out into the storm with their their herd. And that's exactly what you just said, right? Is that like nothing we learn from Mega Camp is new, right? It's the same thing every time. So why do we keep going? For what you just said. That is our strength, is in our numbers. So
That was gold. Thank you. Do you guys have any other like thoughts? Because I know you guys kind of started on some closing thoughts. I do have one more question I want to ask to make sure we close it up. But anything else that you guys want to share?
I was gonna
Questions from the group.
talk about wealth for a second. Is that good? There was, we like wealth. I couldn't help. Really, there was like my absolute action items. Then there was my things I'd really like to get to. And then I was like, I cannot lose these wealth nuggets. There was obviously a huge focus on that. The things that the big thing that stuck out to me is whoever it was stood up there. He said, invest 30% of your income. Everyone in this room, and I'm assuming that would be the same in this room, will make enough to be wealthy, and only 3% of us actually will. So that was huge for me. That hit me pretty hard. The other thing.
Can you see that stat again? I lost it. I don't
Yeah.
know if anyone else needs that again.
Oh, so everyone in this room will make enough to become wealthy throughout their lives, and only 3% will actually become wealthy. Yep. So, and then I promise it's only gonna take 2 seconds. It's not a complicated drawing, because a lot of I can't do that. He showed the market kind of going up and down like that. And he said, most people think that the money is made at the top or at the bottom. You're buying the bottom or you're selling the high. And he called this the safe zone. He says, this is where you really need to buy, is in those shifting markets on their way up or on their way down. That's the safe zone. So that was pretty incredible for me. I think it was more you should always be buying, and kind of reminds me of, yeah. Yeah. Now I messed up the panel. So I broke it. I broke it. I broke it. But it reminded me of a time that I was sitting in probably family reunion with David Earnhardt out of our office. Totally awesome guy, right? And it was actually Clinton and I sat down. We saw him at this little bar. And so we sat next to him and just started taking whatever we could. We just started pulling it right out of him. And the thing that he said was, when it comes to investing, you don't need to hit a grand slam. You just need to get on first base. And I think that's what this is saying, is like invest, invest, invest. If you hit the very low and then you sell at the very top, great. But you don't need to hit a grand slam every time. Just get on first base.
Love that. Any last thoughts before I ask you one last question? So last question, and this is something that hopefully we're all doing to make your time here well spent, your time at Mega Camp well spent. What's one thing that we all plan on implementing from this, that we can implement within the next 24 hours ideally? What's that one thing to push that forward? You might not complete the whole thing in the next 24 hours, but what's the one thing you can take for one piece of action? I'd like to ask you guys, what have you implemented, or what will you implement as a result of Mega Camp? And hopefully, if you hear something, steal theirs, write it down, and let's all go away with a good action plan.
So I'll share mine. So I walked away, and I think the category of today's panel was why go to Mega Camp. And so I would say this was kind of my reason why, and why the biggest impact outside of the culture was, so I ended up hiring a MAPS coach, and I was going back and forth on it. And Gary got up there and said that he'd recently lost his coach. And I was like, Gary Keller has had a coach this whole like, what am I doing? Like, so that, and then just kind of learning more about Keller Williams in general. And like there's a new, are they called designations, like the luxury land commercial? Yeah, the communities. Like, so I mean, they launched a brand new community that was a total fit for me, perfect fit for me, and I would have never probably found out about it or signed up for it had I not been there. So yeah, so yeah, that's what I'm implementing as a coach. And Bold, go to Bold.
Awesome. One thing that Nick and I took from this that we're going to implement is just that we're entering a skills-based market. So things like our scripts are even more important. So Nick and I are actually doing script practice every day from 8:45 to 9. Any of you guys that wanted to come and join us every morning, it's just a quick 15-minute thing. Just practice whatever script you want to practice, whatever conversations you're going to have that day, and then go make your contacts. So
What I'm going to implement is to keep it simple. I try to complicate things, and I see that things that are working for all of you, and I want to implement them all. And so I just need to keep it simple and do what works for me.
And I start out with mine. It's my owning my day. And my intent was to start this week owning it. And yesterday I sucked, but today was a new day, and I've owned my day today. And so owning my day. And then the other plug I'm going to plug for people, because I listen to it every morning, is Pivot, Shift Ahead. And it is awesome. So if you don't listen to that, you should listen to that. It's at 6 o'clock in the morning, but, and it is well worth it. I come out of every single day with something else that I can use to help me be stronger. It's a Facebook group, and I can send it to you. It's by James Shaw.
And mine's 20 contacts.
Awesome. Guys, let's give them a round of applause. And I want to reiterate something that was said in the beginning, that if you want to be average, do what average people do. What's unsaid in that is if you don't want to be average, obviously you have to do the things that the higher achievers are doing. And some of that is education. Some of it is networking. Some of that is taking that one step forward that you're betting on yourself. So what is that one thing that you guys can do? Maybe it is bold. We've been pushing that. That's what's coming up next. After that, we've got family reunion. As far as large events, we've got family reunion. That's going to be in February. If you want to have an experience like this, then just pitch a few bucks every month and put it into that budget for family reunion in February.
Yeah, Disneyland,
And it's
guys.
in Disneyland.
Children, just your agent friends.
Yep. It's closer. It'll be easier on travel, lower expense, and yeah. So that'll be awesome. And
Totally.
yeah, party bus on the way.
I brought that up and everyone's like, I'm not driving a bus to California. It sounded so fun.
Lori will drive. She is a great driver. Yep. She'll drive.
Bye.
Party flight. That's how it felt. I don't know about you guys. It felt we were all on the same flight. And then Mega Camp is always towards the end of summer. So our August next year. So February and August, family reunion, Mega Camp. But if you want to make a stand for yourself, make that decision. And I would say the next thing that's coming up that will make a big change for you is going to be bold. And that is our October 10th is the first day for that. If it's all right, let's give them one more love.